please welcome to bellomag.com, Dita Von Teese. Hello.
Hi.
How are you? You're
Fine,
making me
thank you.
feel instantly glamorous.
Oh, thanks.
I watched an interview that you'd done yesterday where you said, you like to have your makeup, exactly right, and your hair done and your clothes on, and it kind of makes you feel like you can sort of face the day. And I was like, I completely get that.
Yeah, it just makes every day a little bit better.
It does, it gives it a bit of sparkle, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. I think being a gay man, it definitely appeals to me. But I know your audience, because some people may sort of perceive it as an all-male audience, but it's kind of quite the opposite, isn't it?
Yeah, maybe it started off that way in the early 90s when I first started recreating pinups and making burlesque shows. I had a big fan base of, old-timers that knew who Betty Page was before it was really cool to know who Betty Page was, and like fetishists and a lot of like men that were interested in corsetry and seam stockings and high heels and things like that. But my audience definitely shifted to predominantly female, I think, probably around like 2001. I saw a big shift where the audience became, even at a burlesque show where you have 80% of the people there are women, and the rest are partners of those women, boyfriends, husbands, and then gay men.
Yeah.
And then some lesbians thrown in there too, but they're part of the female audience. So.
I know. I went to in November. I went to Crazy Horse in Paris, where I know you've appeared before, and it was very much that there, in that it was couples, straight couples together, some gay men, but not really groups of just straight guys there.
No,
which was
you don't
so refreshing.
really. You would never find that at my show for sure. Although the Crazy Horse is a different situation too. It's a rite of passage for young men to go there. Like that's usually their first experience with a fully nude woman, because you can be 16 to go there with your parents' permission. So I think the Crazy Horse is a little bit different. A lot of Frenchmen, that's their first experience with seeing like real nude women.
I took my 70-year-old dad, and his eyes nearly popped out of his head, but he had a great time. Yeah, something for everyone. Your physique is incredible. You sort of ooze sex and sensuality. Is that something you really have to work on? And I did read somewhere that you'd basically been in a corset which was tightly laced for years to get your waist so tiny. Is that true? I didn't
really do it deliberately. Like I worked in a lingerie store from the time I was a teenager, and I was always interested in historic lingerie and what women wore in different eras. And when I discovered the corset, I thought it was kind of like the holy grail of lingerie. Yeah. So I started wearing it. At my first corset, I wore it all the time. I was just obsessed with it because it was so special. People used to stop me all the time, like, wow, that corset is so beautiful. Like, I'd wear it as outerwear. But I wasn't deliberately trying to shape my waist. I didn't sleep in it or do anything like that. I just really liked wearing corsets. And I worked in the early 90s when I first started making my shows. I was working in a strip club, and I always wore the corset on stage, so much that it became kind of like people thought that I had scars underneath it, or like really crazy tattoos, or a birthmark, and so I kind of created this whole mystique about covering myself with corsets and stockings and long opera length gloves in a strip club. It became this. Yeah. I became really good at like creating this allure, this drama, which was just kind of fun for me. But I just liked corsets. I don't have any interest in like, I wasn't trying to shape my waist, but it happened naturally. I think.
I mean, do you think this is something that any woman could adopt in the sense that if they want to express their sensuality?
Yeah, I mean, I don't condone, like, I would never tell someone, oh, you should wear a corset and shape your waist. Like, I just don't come from that world. I just think that I love the beauty of lingerie, and I think if someone enjoys indulging in that too, then they should. But I kind of cringe when I see that this whole waist shaping corsetry thing is happening. It's a little like, oh, well, wear it because you like it, but there's a
if women at home are kind of nervous in some way to express the sensuality, have you got any tips for them to really get in touch with themselves?
Well, I think that the most important thing is that you have a playful sense of adventure. You're doing things because you enjoy it, not because you think that your partner is going to like it or something. I think a true an expert in the art of seduction and sensuality understands that all of those things become magical when you're doing it because it's something that you enjoy. When you start trying to think about what other people like too much, it's really like an epic failure. It's not sensual at all, and it's not seductive. You really have to like start discovering how you feel, how certain things make you feel, and
right. There's probably too much pressure on it if you're doing it just for a partner.
Yeah, and it's just like the best way is if you just do it naturally, you know. I like to create a poetic space in my house with nice lighting and nice music and candles, and you know, I enjoy creating a nice space or wearing nice lingerie for myself and wearing red lipstick because I genuinely enjoy it. So I think that really the key in the art of seduction is doing things that you genuinely enjoy and becoming really great at it, so you don't have to think about it at all.
Yeah, I remember when I was a kid, I used to go to school with my head just perfect and, you know, have to have my shirt pressed and, you know, I'd wear shoes instead of sneakers and things like that. And, you know, at the time it was tough because everyone was the opposite to that, but I loved it. And as I've got older, I've realised, actually, I love being like this. And people are like, you look young for your age, you look great, you look smart, you don't just wear a t-shirt. And it's funny, it's the same kind of thing, I guess.
You know, but you probably experience some ridicule at some point. I mean, I know that I've experienced ridicule through my whole life for being, you know, too pale or wearing too much makeup or, you know, dyeing my hair from natural blonde to black, or, you know, that you really have to kind of like have your convictions and realize that, you know, whatever you're doing, there's someone that probably will find fault with it, so you might as well just do what makes you feel good.
Right. And you've created a brand new lingerie line yourself now. Do you want to tell us about that and let us know what kind of people, you know, it's aimed at?
Yeah. Well, like I said before, my first job was working in a lingerie store, and I've been fascinated with lingerie as a rite of passage for women since I was a little girl. It was really one of my earliest memories is of peeking in my mother's lingerie drawer, and so I couldn't wait till I would be old enough to experience lingerie myself.
Right.
And I started working in this lingerie store, and that really like sparked my interest in pin-up and eventually burlesque and everything. So it's sort of my love of lingerie was my first reason for everything that I did. So my lingerie collection is really about you know, I design with the past in mind, but in ways of finding all the details of the past and making the pieces very wearable in everyday life. Because, like I said, I believe in everyday glamour. You know, I think you have a choice. You could buy something. You could have something beautiful that is also usable, or you can have something ugly that is usable. And one of the reasons I love the past is that there was such an artistry with everyday things, you know, from cars to toasters, you know, like everything was created with aesthetics in mind. And so I feel the same way about lingerie. Like we don't have to sacrifice glamour for, you know, for function or fit or comfort, you know, comfort.
If there's one piece of your collection that you feel like, you know, a woman should go for, is there like one particular item that you think you have to have one of these, or this would be a good starting point for you?
Beautiful black lace looks good on everyone. It's sensual and erotic, but it's elegant and classic and sophisticated all at the same time. So like you really can't go wrong with gorgeous black lace lingerie. It looks good on anyone of every skin tone, every shape, every age. It's perfect.
Yeah. We need a male role model like you, someone to tell us what to wear. What's next for you? I loved your performance, by the way, in the Eurovision Song Contest. I've just got to get that in 2009.
Thank you. That was a while ago. That was funny.
Was it Miss Kiss Bang?
Yeah, I can't even remember the song right now, but it was really an experience. I had no idea that Eurovision Song Contest even existed, and there I was, and you know, just going, whoa! It was I was in Moscow. I think
it was the most watched television audience outside of a sporting event in the world. So
it was really intense. It was a really interesting experience.
Yeah. Well, what have you got coming up next? What's next for you, do you think?
Well, I'm just really focused on the lingerie. I've been working on expanding to loungewear, so I'm constantly in referencing my archives of vintage clothing and trying to find ways to bring that to the lingerie collection. So that's really like my main focus right now.
Fabulous. Well, it's great to meet you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a glamorous Dita Von Teese.
Thanks.
Thank you.